Good day and welcome to this video lecture about algebra. In this video lecture, I will discuss about factoring of algebraic expression. So let's start. What is factoring? Factoring is the reverse process on what I have discussed about the multiplication of binomials or polynomials. So factoring is the reverse of multiplication, which is basically associated with division. Let's say we have multiply a monomial with a binomial. So we got 10x squared plus 14x. Now in factoring, the reverse process will be applied, which means that this expression will be simplified to return in these expressions. Now let's work on some examples. Let's say if I want to factor 4x plus 12. In factoring, the first thing you should look for is the greatest common factor or the GCF. So what is the GCF of 4 and 12? So you will look for a highest possible number that you can divide to 4 and 12. You can divide it by 2, which is equal to 2 and 6. But you can also divide it by 4. And so 4 is the greatest common factor of 4 and 12. So 4 is going to be the GCF. Now to find out what is being placed in the inside of the parentheses, you should divide 4x by 4. And that is 1x. And 12 divided by 4 is 3. And so that is factoring. What we do is we have converted the binomial into the product of monomial and binomial. Let's try another example. Let's factor this expression. 8x squared plus 2x. So what is the greatest common factor of 8x squared and 2x? Now we can divide both terms by 2x. So our GCF is 2x. So what is going to be placed inside the parentheses? Now what is 8x squared divided by 2x? Now let's write 8x squared divided by 2x. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. And x squared divided by x to the 1 is equivalent to the 2 minus 1. And so 8x squared divided by 2x is 4x. Then 2x divided by 2x is positive 1. So our final answer is 2x times 4x plus 1. And to check your work, to make sure that you have the right answer, you can multiply 2x times 4x and will give you 8x squared. And 2x times 1 will give you 2x. So you know that it is correct. Now let's try another example. Let's say if we have 10xy squared plus 20x squared y cubed. So what is the greatest common factor of 10 and 20? The factors of 10 and 20 are 2, 5, and 10, which means that 10 and 20 are divisible by 2, 5, and 10. But 10 is the highest of those numbers, and that is our GCF. Since the equation contains two variables, and so our GCF is 10x y squared. The GCF for the variables x and y will be the least. Now let's divide 10xy squared by 10xy squared. And the answer is 1. Then let's divide this term by this term. And it will give us positive 2xy. And this is our answer. So it is how to factor this original expression. How about if we are given this kind of expression of x squared minus 25? How can we factor it? So in this case, what we have is the difference of perfect square. This means that both x squared and number 25 are perfect square. The variables or the number can be a perfect square if the factor, when multiplied by itself, will get you that variable or that number. Like for example, x squared as a factor of x times x, while number 25 as a factor of 5 times 5. When you see this kind of expressions, you could use this formula where a squared minus b squared can be factored as a plus b times a minus b. So a squared can be represented by x squared, while b squared can be represented by number 25. Going back to our problem and to factor it, so based on the formula, a is the square root of x squared. So what is the factor of x squared minus 25? The factor of x squared is equal to x times x. Now b is the square root of 25. It is 5. So our answer is x plus 5 times x minus 5. You could also check if the answer is correct. So to confirm our answer, let's multiply x plus 5 times x minus 5. So if we multiply x times x, that will give us x squared. Then x times negative 5 will give us negative 5x. And then 5 times x is positive 5x. And then positive 5 times negative 5 is negative 25. Now negative 5x and positive 5x will be cancelled. So our answer is x squared minus 25, which is our original expression. Let's try another example. Let's say if we have x squared minus 16. So to factor, let's put first the parentheses. So the quick way to do this is to find the square root of x squared, and that is x. And the square root of 16 is positive 4 and negative 4. Let's have our next example. Let's say if we have x squared minus 4. To factor it, it is simply the square root of x squared and the square root of negative 4. So our answer is x plus 2 times x minus 2. Now let's try a slightly difficult example. Let's factor 4x squared minus 64. So what is the square root of 4x squared? The square root of 4 is 2 and the square root of x squared is x. So the square root of 4x squared is 2x and the square root of 64 is 8. So our answer is 2x plus 8 times 2x minus 8. Now let's try other type of expressions. Let's say we have a polynomial x cubed minus 4x squared plus 3x minus 12. Notice that the ratio between the coefficients of the first two terms and the last two terms are the same. For instance, if I take negative 4 and divide it by 1, that will give me a negative 4. Now if I take negative 12 and divided by 3, it also gives me a negative 4. When you see a polynomial and you see that the first two coefficients has the same ratio as the last two coefficients, you can use a technique called factor by grouping. So in the first two terms, what you will do is to factor out the greatest common factor or GCF, which is x squared. So x cubed divided by x squared, and that is x. And negative 4 for x squared divided by x squared will give us negative 4. Do the same thing in the last two terms. First factor out the GCF, which is going to be 3. So 3x divided by 3 is x. And negative 12 divided by 3 is negative 4. Now whenever you see this, if they are the same, that means you are on the right track. So the next thing is to factor out x minus 4. So if we take this term and divide it by x minus 4, the x minus 4 will cancel, leaving x squared. So if you want to write it out, you can see it this way. So if you take x squared times x minus 4 and divided by x minus 4, the x minus 4 will cancel, leaving x squared. And if you take this one divided by x minus 4, then x minus 4 will cancel, and leaving only positive 3. So our final answer is x minus 4 times x squared plus 3.